Space combat's supposed to be glamorous, right? Sleek ships, perfect dogfights, some heroic one-liners along the way. Yeah, not here. This is in the black. Every burn, every drift, every turn feels like you're wrestling Newton himself and losing. 1 minute you're lining up the perfect shot, the next you're tumbling past a control point at 200 meters a second, wondering where your dignity went. It's absolutely glorious. My name is Tom and this is LT Gaming, where we dive into strategy games, simulation, anything you can think of. Luke has covered In the Black before when it was shrouded in mystery, but now the public demo is here and it's finally time to see if the dream holds up under fire. So today I'm strapping in, over thrusting, missing every shot and loving every minute, as we look at how In the Black actually plays and what it could become when early access hits. If you end up enjoying this sort of controlled drift into chaos, give the video a like and subscribe. It helps us immensely on our path to 100k. Alright, let's go. So let's begin with how it actually feels to play this game and what even is this game. In the Black is a hardcore space combat simulator set a couple of centuries in the future, where mercenary pilots fight for cash, contracts and survival across our own solar system. You're not flying magic tech or cinematic starfighters. These are grounded industrial machines designed for war and physics, and let's be honest, it's mostly physics. It's built by a team led by some folks who worked on things like MechWarrior 2, Crisis and X-Wing, and you can tell. Every button, every thruster, every blip on the radar feels deliberate. Like it's been engineered to remind you that space doesn't care if you're clever. Half of my early flights ended with me majestically sailing past the objective like an idiot comet. But when this game clicks, it is magic. The thrusters hiss, the cockpit rattles, and suddenly you feel like a pilot, not just a camera floating in space. And the demo nails that sense of weight and Newtonian physics. Every thruster pulse carries inertia, every turn has consequence. And it is slower than most combat sims, but that is the point. You're managing momentum, not mashing boost. And those weapons, the railguns punch like a truck. Missiles feel heavy and mean, not just like fireworks in space. And the sound design, that low hum of power, the metallic whine of a rail slug charging, it really sells the fantasy of proper industrial space combat. The demo is not huge, but it is tight. You got a handful of contracts to fly, proving grounds to learn in, and enough weapon loadouts to feel the difference between nimble interceptors and lumbering bruisers. And it's enough to get you hooked and maybe, hopefully, a little bit obsessed. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but it does feel right. It's space as it should be, cold, calculated, and occasionally catastrophic. Now, when Luke first covered In the Black, it was mostly potential. A sharp idea with great physics and a lonely starfield full of promise. Now you can feel that progress. The latest demo is proof that Impelier Studios have been busy tightening bolts and listening to feedback. First off, it just looks better. The UI has had a proper tune-up. Cleaner menus, crisp HUDs, and none of that early prototype jank. Mission results now also feel meaningful too. The post-match screens track your kills, payouts and squad stats like you're part of something structured, not just floating alone in a spreadsheet. They've been tweaking the ships as well. The Shrike's cockpit now feels far more tactile, the Reese has more geometry and lighting, and missiles finally behave like they've read a physics textbook instead of a Michael Bay script. And bless them, they've finally got the Steam integration sorted, so the menus don't crash when you breathe near them, UI is more responsive, and matchmaking actually works without summoning some dark force. Even the AI has seen improvement. It's not perfect, your wingmates will still occasionally confuse bravery with self-immolation, but the pacing and engagement feels sharper overall. So it's not a reinvention, it is a refinement, the kind that makes you think the devs have been quietly building momentum. Luke showed us the framework back in our old preview, but now the demo feels like it's the first real flight test. I think this is going to be one of those rare cases where early access might actually help rather than hinder a project. Because the hardest part, the flight model, the physics, the feel, I think that's already nailed down. What it needs now isn't another round of closed tests, it's pilots, real people, real chaos. Back when Luke first covered it, In the Black felt like a brilliant prototype drifting in silence. Now the scaffolding is gone and the systems are in. The gameplay loops are taking shape, and it needs now a crowd big enough to kick the tires properly. And this isn't some throwaway indie gamble. Jack Mame worked on MechWarrior 2 in Crisis, David Weissman helped design X-Wing. These are people who know how to make a ship feel like a machine and a dogfight feel like a war story. So early access isn't just about ironing out the bugs, it's about seeing how this ecosystem breathes when real players get involved, balancing factions, shaping the economy, and proving whether realistic space combat can actually sustain a living, breathing community. If Impelier can keep that loop of polish and player feedback alive, In the Black could stand alongside the greats, not by copying them, but by finally giving us the space combat sim we've been waiting some time for. I've got to say, flying through the demo did leave me grinning. There is a visceral satisfaction in mastering those drifts, vectoring a shot, and watching a ship break apart in that cold silence. But walking away, I also did feel the rough edges when I looked. Critics and players online aren't shy about flagging these issues as well. Some have mentioned UI misclicks, occasionally stability problems, and an AI that sometimes forgets what it's supposed to be doing. I saw one player liken it to controlling a comet in a storm. Amusing, but I do get the comparison. But it is important to stress, these aren't deal breakers yet. What I've seen and what I've experienced, when the systems align, thrust, inertia, weapon feedback, the cockpit tension, it feels exactly what a space combat sim should strive for. The demo isn't large, but it is focused. You've got contract runs, loadout customization, and a proving ground to sharpen your skills. Enough to start understanding which ship fits your style, and whether you want to be that nimble flanker or the heavy bruiser. In short, I am hooked, but I'm also rooting for polish to catch up. The UI, AI, and stability fixes are going to be essential if this is going to stand shoulder to shoulder with the great space sims. My only real concern here, though, is momentum. In the Black has been in development for years now, and I can't help but wonder if the hype has drifted a bit in that time. Space sim fans are loyal, yes, but they're also tired of waiting. This game deserves a fresh push, because the core experience is there, it just needs enough pilots to reignite that excitement. And that's the real challenge now in my eyes, getting players in. A strong community is what's going to make this work. The devs can refine and rebalance all they want, but it is us, the players out there, flying missions, crashing ships, and learning the hard way that velocity is not your friend, and it's us who's going to make this thing truly sing. So yeah, I'm hooked. It's got rough edges and some catching up to do, but the bones are good. If the polish can come together and the player base follows, In the Black could become one of the greats. So that's In the Black, a hardcore space combat sim that's rough around the edges but full of potential. It's been in the hangar for a long time, and yeah, I think some of the hype's burned up on re-entry, but this demo, it's proof there's still something special here worth reigniting. If you're into proper Newtonian flight, and the idea of actually fighting momentum sounding fun rather than like punishment, grab the demo on Steam. It's free, it's brutal, and it's either going to humble you, hook you, possibly both within the same minute. The devs have built a solid foundation, but it's the player base that's going to decide where this goes next. So jump in, give them feedback, and let's see if we can help them break orbit. I've been Tom for LT Gaming. If you've enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you feel like it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.